Question number 5, Simon O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Questions to the Minister of Health and asks, what recent reports has he received on the number of B4 school free health and development checks completed in the last financial year, and what do they show?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Jonathan Coleman.
Mr Speaker, I've received a report that 58,600 children received before-school checks in primary care in the year to June, and that this is a record 92% of eligible children. Before-school checks test a child's hearing, vision and oral health. Behaviour, development and growth are all assessed, and immunisations are also checked. The government invests $10 million each year to provide these free primary care before-school checks, which have now benefited more than 300,000 children and ensure that Kiwi kids start school in the best possible health.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Simon O'Connor.
Has he had to do any checking of the numbers in recent reports relating to checks on children?
The Honourable Dr Jonathan Coleman.
Well, yes, I have. My office had to spend a lot of time last week following up a claim that 22 out of 26 GP practices in central Auckland had opted out of free visits for under 13s. But several hours later, the Labour Party apologised to journalists, conceding that their figures were wrong.
Order.
Point of order.
Member Minister resume seat.
Point of order. Two points of order, Mr Speaker.
I'll have the first one.
The first one is it's actually a real stretch to get the supplementary question related to the primary question. The second point of order, Mr Speaker, is that the Speaker's rulings and your rulings, in fact, are very clear that supplementary questions from the government on government questions shouldn't be used to attack the opposition.
On the first, and I think it then relates to the second point of order, the supplementary question in my mind was in order. There was no way I was to know what figures the Minister had to take times to correct. So the question was definitely in order. As the answer has progressed, it's getting to a stage now when I could conclude that it's been designed for no other purpose than to attack the Labour opposition. I'd be grateful if the Minister, if he wants to conclude his answer, would do so without further reference to the
In actual fact,
Labour.
of 10 practices in central Auckland, 9 are offering free doctors' visits for under 13s. I accept Mrs King's apology.
Point of order. The Honourable Dr Jonathan Coleman.
I'd like to table the transcript of a radio article entitled Labour has retracted.
No. Such transcripts are freely available to all members if they so want them. Question number 6, Grant Robertson.
Thank you very